Captain Elena Vasquez gripped the armrests of her command chair as the UES Defiant shuddered under another wave of quantum distortion. The bridge lights flickered, casting dancing shadows across the faces of her crew, 23 souls who had volunteered for what everyone knew was likely a suicide mission. "Report, Lieutenant Martinez," she called to her tactical officer, her voice steady despite the chaos erupting around them. "Long-range sensors are picking up massive gravitational anomalies, Captain. Whatever's generating them is bigger than anything in our databases." Martinez's fingers danced across his console, his dark eyes reflecting the amber glow of his displays. Distance approximately 12 light-hours and closing. Elena felt a chill run down her spine. 12 light-hours. In normal space, that would take months to traverse, but the distortion suggested these weren't normal circumstances. "Commander Harrison, what's our status on the Prometheus drive?" Her first officer, a grizzled veteran with silver hair and scars from the Titan Wars, looked up from his engineering console. "The drive is holding steady at 97% efficiency, Captain. But if we push it much harder, we risk a cascade failure." The Prometheus drive, humanity's greatest achievement and perhaps its last hope. The experimental faster-than-light system had been installed on only 3 ships, the Defiant, her sister ship Resolute, and the massive dreadnought Eternal. The other 2 ships had been lost 6 months ago when the first alien signals had been detected near the outer rim. "Captain," came a voice from the communications station. Ensign Parker, barely out of the academy, her young face pale with exhaustion and fear. "I'm receiving a transmission from Earth Command. It's Admiral Thompson." The main viewscreen shimmered to life, revealing the weathered face of Admiral James Thompson, the man who had personally selected Elena for this mission. Behind him, she could see the bustling activity of the Solar Defense Command Center, a stark reminder of the billions of lives hanging in the balance. "Elena," the Admiral's voice crackled through the quantum static. "We've lost contact with the outer colonies. Proxima Centauri, Wolf 359, Barnard Star, all dark. Whatever's coming, it's systematic, methodical. Our deep space monitoring stations detected massive energy signatures moving through each system before communication ceased." Elena's jaw tightened. Those colonies represented nearly 50 million human souls. "Any survivors, sir?" Thompson's expression grew darker. "Negative. Long-range scans show the planets are changed. Something has altered their very molecular structure. They're not just destroyed, Elena, they've been transformed into something else entirely." The bridge fell silent except for the steady hum of the ship's systems. Elena could feel the weight of every pair of eyes on her, waiting for her response, for some sign that their captain had a plan that might save them all. "What are your orders, Admiral?" "Your orders remain the same. The Defiant is humanity's early warning system and our first line of defense. Whatever's coming, we need to know what it is, how many there are, and how to stop them. The fate of our species may depend on the data you can transmit back to us." Elena nodded grimly. "Understood, sir. We won't let you down." "I know you won't, Captain." Thompson out. The viewscreen went dark, leaving the bridge crew in relative silence once again. Elena stood from her chair and walked to the forward viewport, staring out at the stars that seemed to shimmer and bend in the distance. Space itself appeared to be warping, reality twisting like a funhouse mirror. "Captain," Martinez called out, his voice tight with urgency. "I've got something on the sensors. Multiple contacts, bearing 27 Mark IV. They're huge." Elena spun around. On screen, the main display flickered to life, showing a tactical representation of local space. At first, there were only a few red dots at the edge of sensor range. Then dozens. Then hundreds. "Jesus Christ," someone whispered. Elena felt her blood turn to ice. The display showed not dozens or hundreds, but over 1,000 distinct contacts, each one the size of a city. They moved in perfect formation, their approach vector aimed directly at the Defiant's position. Analysis, Mr. Martinez. Ship types, energy signatures, anything you can give me. Martinez's fingers flew over his controls, his face growing paler by the second. Captain, these readings don't make sense. Each contact is showing energy output equivalent to a small star. Their hull composition appears to be some kind of crystalline matrix I've never seen before. And they're accelerating at rates that should be impossible, nearly 10,000 gravities with no apparent inertial effects. Commander Harrison stepped up beside Elena. Captain, at their current rate of approach, they'll be in weapons range in approximately 6 hours. Elena's mind raced through the tactical possibilities. One ship against 1,000. Even with the Defiant's advanced weaponry and experimental shielding, the odds were astronomical. But that wasn't the point. They weren't here to win, they were here to learn and to buy time for Earth's defenses. All hands, this is the captain, she announced over the ship's intercom. Red alert. All crew to battle stations. This is not a drill. The bridge immediately transformed as the crew switched to combat mode. Emergency lighting bathed everything in a red glow, and the soft hum of the ship's systems was replaced by the sharp whine of charging weapons and the steady pulse of the tactical grid. Lieutenant Parker, I want a continuous data stream back to Earth Command. Everything we observe, every tactical detail, gets transmitted immediately. If we don't make it out of this, at least our sacrifice won't be in vain. Aye, Captain. Quantum burst transmitters are online and standing by. Elena turned to her chief engineer, Lieutenant Commander Singh, a brilliant woman who had helped design many of the Defiant's advanced systems. How much power can you give me, Singh? I can reroute power from non-essential systems and boost our shield strength by 30%. Weapons will be at full capacity, but if we take significant damage, we won't have much in reserve. Do it. As the crew prepared for battle, Elena found herself thinking about Earth, about her sister Maria who taught children in New Geneva, about her nephew Tommy who loved to build model spaceships. She had joined Starfleet to explore the galaxy, to push the boundaries of human knowledge. She had never expected to stand as the last guardian between her species and extinction. Captain, Martinez called out, his voice cracking slightly. The alien formation is changing. They're surrounding us. Elena looked at the tactical display and felt her heart sink. The 1,000 ships had spread out in a perfect sphere, with the Defiant at the center. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. They were trapped. Time to weapons range. 4 hours, 17 minutes. Elena sat back down in her command chair and activated her personal log. Captain's log, stardate 2387.156. The UES Defiant has made contact with a massive alien fleet consisting of over 1,000 vessels of unknown origin and intent. We are currently surrounded and will likely not survive the next few hours. However, we will gather as much intelligence as possible and transmit our findings to Earth Command. If humanity is to survive what's coming, they'll need every advantage we can give them. She paused the recording and looked around at her crew. These brave men and women had volunteered for a mission they knew might be their last. They deserved to know the truth. Listen up, everyone. We all knew this might be a one-way trip when we signed on. Looking at those sensor readings, it's clear we're facing something beyond our current understanding. But that doesn't mean we're going to roll over and die. We're going to fight. We're going to learn everything we can about these aliens. And we're going to make them pay for every meter of space they take. The crew responded with a chorus of "Aye, Captain," that filled Elena with pride. Whatever happened in the next few hours, humanity would face it with courage. Mr. Martinez, I want detailed scans of the alien vessels. Hull composition, energy distribution, weapon signatures, anything that might give us a tactical advantage. Commander Harrison, prepare all weapon systems and ready the Prometheus drive for emergency jump. If things go badly, we may need to make a run for it. Captain, Singh called from the engineering station. I'm detecting some kind of interference with our quantum communications. It's subtle, but something is dampening our transmission strength. Elena frowned. Intentional jamming? I don't think so. It's more like, reality itself is being distorted around those ships. Spacetime is behaving strangely in their vicinity. Before Elena could respond, the ship's proximity alarms began blaring. Martinez looked up from his console, his face white as a sheet. Captain, the alien fleet has just increased speed. They'll be here in 30 minutes, not 4 hours. Elena gripped her chair. All hands, prepare for contact. This is it, people. Make it count. As the alien fleet bore down on them, Elena couldn't help but wonder if this was how it would end for humanity, one ship, alone in the darkness, facing an enemy beyond comprehension. But as she looked at the determined faces of her crew, she felt a spark of hope. If these aliens thought humanity would go quietly into the night, they were about to learn otherwise. The stars continued to warp and bend as spacetime itself seemed to recoil from the approaching fleet. Elena had seen many wonders in her years as a starship captain, but nothing had prepared her for this. The alien ships didn't just move through space, they seemed to reshape it, bending reality to their will. 15 minutes to contact, Martinez announced. Elena activated the ship-wide intercom one final time. All hands, this is your captain. In a few minutes, we're going to make first contact with an alien species. Whatever happens, remember that you are the finest crew in Starfleet, and you represent the best of humanity. We will face whatever comes with courage, with honor, and with the knowledge that our actions today will echo through history. Prepare yourselves. This is our moment. As the alien fleet drew closer, Elena could make out individual ships on the main view screen. They were unlike anything in human imagination, crystalline constructs that seemed to pulse with their own inner light, their surfaces covered in geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly. They moved with an organic fluidity that suggested they were as much living beings as they were machines. 10 minutes to contact. Elena took a deep breath and prepared to meet humanity's destiny. The alien ships materialized out of the quantum foam like nightmares made manifest. Each vessel was a crystalline cathedral of impossible geometry, surfaces that reflected light in ways that shouldn't exist, edges that seemed to cut through spacetime itself. As they drew closer, Elena could see that the ships weren't just moving, they were growing, extending tendrils of crystal and energy that reached out toward the Defiant like the arms of some cosmic predator. 5 minutes to contact, Martinez reported, his voice barely above a whisper. Elena studied the tactical display, noting the perfect precision of the alien formation. Not a single ship was out of position, not a degree of variance in their approach vectors. It was as if they were controlled by a single mind, moving with a coordination that human fleets could never achieve. Captain, Singh called from her engineering station, I'm reading massive energy buildup across the entire alien fleet. Whatever they're powering up, it's drawing more energy than our entire ship generates. Weapons? Unknown. The energy patterns don't match anything in our databases. Elena felt a bead of sweat roll down her spine despite the bridge's cool temperature. Mr. Martinez, are our weapons locked on target? Aye, Captain. Primary batteries trained on the nearest alien vessel. But given their size and apparent shielding, I'm not sure our weapons will be effective. Elena nodded. The Defiant carried the most advanced weaponry humanity had ever produced, quantum torpedoes that could crack a moon, plasma beams that burned at the temperature of a star's core, and point defense systems that could track and destroy thousands of incoming projectiles. Against a normal enemy, the ship was a formidable opponent. Against this alien fleet, it was a gnat facing a hurricane. 2 minutes to contact. Captain, Ensign Parker called from communications, her young voice steady despite the circumstances. I'm receiving a transmission. It's coming from all of the alien ships simultaneously. Elena felt her pulse quicken. What kind of transmission? Audio? Visual? I'm not sure how to describe it, Captain. It's not using any known communication protocol, but our computers are somehow interpreting it. The message is being displayed directly on our screens. The main view screen flickered, and alien symbols began to appear, not text, but something far more complex. The symbols seemed to shift and change as Elena watched, each one containing layers of meaning that her mind struggled to process. But somehow, impossibly, she understood them. We are the confluence. We are harmony. We are order. The words didn't sound in Elena's ears, they appeared directly in her mind, each one carrying with it images and emotions that weren't her own. She saw vast cities of crystal and light, worlds transformed into geometric perfection, billions of beings moving in perfect synchronization. You are chaos. You are discord. You are ending. Elena forced herself to stand, fighting against the alien presence that seemed to be pressing against her thoughts. Open a channel. All frequencies. Channel open, Captain. Elena took a deep breath, knowing that the next words she spoke might be humanity's first and last diplomatic contact with an alien species. This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the United Earth ship Defiant. We represent the human species and come in peace. We wish to establish communication and understanding between our peoples. The response came immediately, not through the view screen but directly into the minds of everyone on the bridge. Elena could see her crew wincing as the alien thoughts invaded their consciousness. Peace is chaos. Understanding is unnecessary. You will achieve harmony. Images flooded Elena's mind, human worlds transformed into crystalline perfection, cities rebuilt in impossible geometric patterns, people walking in perfect unison with blank, peaceful expressions. It was beautiful and terrifying, a vision of order achieved through the complete subjugation of free will. Captain, Martinez gasped, blood trickling from his nose. They're in our heads. I can feel them trying to change something. Elena fought against the alien presence, drawing on years of command training to maintain her mental defenses. All hands, resist the mental intrusion. Focus on your individual thoughts, your personal memories. Don't let them in. But even as she spoke, Elena could feel the alien influence growing stronger. The confluence wasn't just communicating, they were attempting to impose their version of order directly onto human minds, to transform chaos into harmony through mental domination. 1 minute to contact. Elena made a decision that would haunt her for the rest of her life, however long that might be. All weapons, open fire. Target the nearest alien vessel. The Defiant unleashed its full arsenal. Quantum torpedoes streaked through space, followed by lances of superheated plasma and waves of disruptor energy. The weapons struck the lead alien ship with enough force to vaporize a small moon. The crystalline vessel absorbed the attack without even slowing down. Elena watched in horror as the alien ship's surface rippled like water, the energy from their weapons being consumed and redistributed throughout its structure. Where the torpedoes had struck, new crystalline growths appeared, making the ship even larger than before. Your chaos feeds our harmony. Your resistance strengthens our purpose. Captain, Singh called out, her voice filled with disbelief, their ship is using our weapons' fire as an energy source. Every shot we fire is making them stronger. Elena's mind raced. If their weapons were useless, if the aliens could absorb any attack and convert it to their own purposes, then traditional warfare was impossible. But there had to be something, some weakness, some flaw in their perfect harmony. 30 seconds to contact. The alien fleet had closed to point-blank range, their massive ships dwarfing the Defiant. Elena could see details on their hulls now, not just crystalline surfaces, but organic components as well. Living tissue fused with mineral matrix, technology that was as much biological as mechanical. These weren't just ships, they were organisms, possibly intelligent in their own right. Captain, Parker called out, I'm receiving individual transmissions from each alien ship now. They're different. Elena looked at the communications officer in surprise. Different how? Each ship is broadcasting a slightly different harmonic frequency. It's subtle, but they're not in perfect synchronization. Elena felt a spark of hope. If the confluence wasn't as unified as they claimed, if there were variations in their harmony, then perhaps there was a way to exploit those differences. Mr. Martinez, can you identify which ship is the command vessel? Martinez studied his tactical display, his face screwed up in concentration. I'm not sure there is one, Captain. The formation suggests they're all operating as equals, but, wait. There's one ship, roughly 40 degrees off our starboard bow. It's broadcasting on a different frequency than the others, and its energy signature is more complex. Elena nodded. That's our target. If we can disrupt their coordination, even temporarily, we might have a chance. 10 seconds to contact. Elena gripped her chair as the alien fleet came to a complete stop around them, forming a perfect sphere with the Defiant at the center. Each ship was close enough now that she could see their surfaces crawling with activity, thousands of smaller organisms moving across their hulls like antibodies in a bloodstream. Contact. For a moment, nothing happened. The alien ships hung in space like massive crystalline flowers, their surfaces pulsing with inner light. Then, without warning, they began to sing. It wasn't sound in any conventional sense, the vacuum of space couldn't carry audio waves. Instead, it was a harmonic resonance that vibrated through the Defiant's hull, through the deck plating, through Elena's bones. The song was beautiful and terrible, a mathematical perfection that spoke of order imposed upon chaos, of individual voices merged into a single, unified chorus. And Elena could feel it working on her crew. Captain, Commander Harrison said, his voice dreamy and distant. The song is so beautiful. Can you hear it? Can you feel how perfect it is? Elena looked around the bridge in horror. Her crew was succumbing to the alien influence, their faces taking on the same peaceful, blank expressions she had seen in the Confluence's visions. Martinez had stopped monitoring his station and was staring at the main viewscreen with a serene smile. Singh was no longer working on her console but was instead moving her hands in slow, rhythmic patterns that matched the alien song. Ensign Parker, Elena called, but the young woman didn't respond. She was typing at her communications console, but not in any human language. Alien symbols were flowing across her screen as she transmitted something to the Confluence fleet. Elena realized with growing dread that she was the only one left. Whatever mental defenses she possessed, whatever quirk of psychology or stubbornness made her resistant to the alien influence, she was alone on a bridge full of compromised crew members. The alien song grew stronger, and Elena felt it pressing against her mind like a physical force. She could sense the vast intelligence behind it, not just the 1,000 ships surrounding her, but millions more across the galaxy. The Confluence wasn't just a fleet or even a species. It was a galactic civilization built on the principle of perfect harmony, and it would not tolerate the chaos that humanity represented. Fighting against the mental pressure, Elena reached for her command console. If her crew couldn't resist the alien influence, she would have to take control of the ship herself. Her fingers flew over the controls, shutting down the communications array to prevent Parker from transmitting any more information to the enemy. The action broke the alien's concentration for just a moment, and Elena felt the song falter. Around the bridge, her crew blinked in confusion as their minds briefly cleared. What happened? Harrison asked, shaking his head. I felt like I was dreaming. Mental attack, Elena said quickly. The aliens can influence our thoughts through some kind of harmonic resonance. We need to find a way to block their signal. Captain, Singh said, her scientific mind already working on the problem, if they're using harmonic frequencies to affect our brains, we might be able to generate a counter-frequency. Create interference that disrupts their signal. Elena nodded. Do it. And quickly I can feel them trying to break through again. Singh's fingers danced over her engineering controls, analyzing the alien song and generating counter-harmonics. The ship's systems began producing their own resonance, a discordant note that clashed with the Confluence's perfect harmony. The effect was immediate, the alien ships recoiled as if stung, their perfect formation wavering for the first time. Elena could feel their confusion and anger as their song was disrupted by the Defiant's chaotic noise. Your discord wounds the harmony. You will cease. The nearest alien ship suddenly lurched forward, its crystalline hull extending tendrils toward the Defiant. Elena realized they were no longer trying to convert her crew, they were moving to direct physical contact. Evasive maneuvers. Elena shouted. Full impulse, random pattern. The Defiant shot forward, its engines screaming as it tried to escape the closing alien formation. But the crystalline ships moved to intercept, their organic surfaces flowing like liquid as they reached out with grasping appendages. They're trying to board us, Martinez reported, his tactical training overcoming his lingering confusion. Multiple contacts extending physical connections toward our hull. Elena watched the tactical display as dozens of alien ships converged on their position. The Defiant was fast and maneuverable, but it was still one ship against 1,000. No matter which direction they turned, there were more aliens waiting. Captain, Singh called out, I've been analyzing their ship composition. The crystalline matrix isn't just armor, it's a form of distributed computing system. Each ship is a node in a vast network, sharing processing power and information instantaneously. Elena felt a chill of understanding. A hive mind. Exactly. But that means they might be vulnerable to the same kinds of attacks that work on computer networks. If we could introduce a virus, some kind of disruptive code. Do it, Elena ordered. Anything that might give us an advantage. But even as Singh worked frantically at her console, Elena could see that they were running out of time. The alien ships were closing in from all sides, their tendrils reaching out to snare the Defiant. In moments, they would be captured, and Elena had no doubt that the crew would either be converted to the Confluence's cause or eliminated as a threat to their perfect harmony. Prepare the Prometheus drive, Elena ordered. Emergency jump, maximum range. Captain, Harrison protested, we don't know where we'll end up. The drive is still experimental, we could materialize inside a star or in the middle of a gravity well. Elena looked at the encroaching alien fleet and made her decision. Better to die free than live as slaves. Initiate jump sequence. The Defiant's Prometheus drive began to charge, its exotic matter containment systems building up the energy necessary to punch a hole through spacetime itself. Elena could feel the ship's hull vibrating as reality bent around them, preparing to catapult them across the galaxy in an instant. But the Confluence had noticed their preparations. The alien song changed, becoming more urgent, more demanding. Elena felt the mental pressure return with doubled force as the aliens tried to stop their escape. Around the bridge, her crew began to succumb again, their hands moving away from their controls as the Confluence seized control of their minds. Jump! Elena screamed, reaching across to Harrison's console and slamming her hand down on the activation control. The universe exploded into white light as the Defiant tore itself free from normal spacetime. Elena felt reality dissolve around her as they plunged into the quantum foam between dimensions, the Prometheus drive carrying them away from the Confluence fleet at speeds that made light itself seem sluggish. But as they fled through the spaces between spaces, Elena could hear the alien song following them, promising that there was nowhere in the galaxy they could hide, nowhere they could run where the Confluence would not find them. The war had begun, and humanity didn't even know it yet. The Defiant tumbled out of quantum space like a ship spat from the mouth of a god. Alarms blared as the vessel's hull groaned under the stress of emergency translation, systems overloading from the hasty jump through dimensions that weren't meant for matter to traverse. Elena felt her stomach lurch as gravity fluctuated, the artificial field generators struggling to compensate for the reality distortion still rippling through the ship. Damage report, she called as soon as the bridge stopped spinning around her. Commander Harrison pulled himself up from the deck where the translation shock had thrown him, blood trickling from a cut on his forehead. Engineering reports multiple system failures. Primary sensors are offline, life support is running on backups, and we've lost 2 of our 6 fusion reactors. Where are we? Elena asked, though she wasn't sure she wanted to know the answer. Lieutenant Martinez struggled with his tactical console, most of its displays flickering or completely dark. Working on it, Captain. Astrogation is trying to get a fix on our position, but without primary sensors. Captain, Singh interrupted from her engineering station, her voice tight with concern. We have a bigger problem. The Prometheus drive is showing massive instabilities. The crystalline matrix that houses the exotic matter is cracked. If it fails completely. Elena felt ice in her veins. The Prometheus drive was what made faster-than-light travel possible, but it was also potentially the most dangerous piece of technology ever created by human hands. The exotic matter contained within its crystalline housing could, if released uncontrolled, create a cascade reaction that would tear apart spacetime itself in a sphere hundreds of light-years in radius. How long do we have? At current degradation rates, maybe 6 hours before catastrophic failure. And that's if we don't try to use the drive again. Elena processed this information quickly. 6 hours to repair a drive system that had taken humanity's best scientists decades to develop, while potentially being hunted by an alien fleet that could bend spacetime to their will. The odds were not in their favor. Ensign Parker, any luck with communications? Can we reach Earth Command? The young communications officer shook her head, her face pale from the ordeal. I'm detecting some kind of interference pattern, Captain. It's subtle, but it's affecting all our long-range communication systems. Almost like there's a background static that's drowning out our signals. Elena frowned. Natural phenomenon or artificial? I'm not sure. The pattern is too regular to be completely natural, but it doesn't match any known jamming technology either. Before Elena could respond, Martinez suddenly looked up from his console, his eyes wide with alarm. Captain, I've got partial sensor readings. There's something out there. Multiple contacts, bearing, everywhere. On screen. The main view screen flickered to life, showing a distorted view of local space. At first, Elena couldn't make sense of what she was seeing. Stars that seemed to pulse with unnatural light, nebular formations that moved with apparent purpose, and in the distance, geometric shapes that hurt to look at directly. My God, Harrison whispered. What is this place? Elena studied the display, her mind working to process the impossible imagery. They weren't in normal space, that much was clear. The laws of physics seemed to operate differently here, reality bent into configurations that shouldn't exist. Mr. Martinez, are those ships? Martinez enhanced the image, focusing on the distant geometric shapes. As the picture sharpened, Elena's worst fears were confirmed. The objects were indeed ships, confluence vessels, their crystalline hulls reflecting the strange light of this pocket dimension. How many? Elena asked, though she dreaded the answer. I count approximately 50 vessels, Captain. But given our sensor limitations, there could be more. Elena felt a chill of understanding. The confluence hadn't just been surrounding them when they made their emergency jump, they had been hurting them. The aliens had somehow predicted where the Defiant would emerge from quantum space and had positioned ships to intercept them. Captain, Singh called from her station, I'm reading massive gravitational distortions throughout this region. It's like spacetime has been artificially modified to create a pocket dimension. We're not just in unknown territory, we're in a space that was specifically constructed. Elena realized with growing horror what had happened. The confluence had created a trap, a pocket of modified space designed to capture ships using faster-than-light drives. They hadn't escaped at all, they had jumped directly into the enemy's web. Can we jump out again? Singh shook her head grimly. Not with the drive in its current condition. And even if we could repair it, the spatial distortions here would make it almost impossible to calculate a safe exit vector. One mistake and we could end up inside a star or scattered across 1,000 light-years. Elena studied the tactical display, watching as the confluence ships began to move toward their position. Unlike their earlier perfect formation, these vessels moved with a different pattern, more organic, more predatory. They were in hunting mode. Time until they reach us. At their current approach speed, approximately 90 minutes, Martinez reported. But Captain, their energy signatures are different from the ships we encountered earlier. These vessels are more compact, more heavily armed. I think we're looking at their military fleet. Elena nodded grimly. If the first confluence ships had been their explorers or diplomats, these were their warriors. And from the tactical data, it was clear that 50 of these hunters would be more than enough to destroy the Defiant. All right, people. We have 90 minutes to figure out how to survive an encounter with 50 alien warships in a dimension that defies the laws of physics. Suggestions? Commander Harrison was the first to speak. We could try to hide. This pocket dimension seems to have some kind of nebular formations, natural sensor shadows that might conceal our presence. For a while, maybe, Elena agreed. But they know we're here, and they have time on their side. Eventually, they'll find us. What about Singh's idea from earlier? Martinez suggested. Some kind of computer virus to disrupt their network. Singh looked up from her console, where she had been working frantically to analyze the alien ship configurations. I've been thinking about that, Captain. The confluence ships we encountered before were clearly part of a distributed network, a hive mind with shared processing power. But these military vessels might be different. They could be more autonomous, less dependent on the network. Elena considered this. Different how? Think about it from an evolutionary standpoint. A hive mind works well for coordination and shared knowledge, but in combat, you need ships that can operate independently if communication is disrupted. These hunters might have more individual intelligence, which means they might also have individual weaknesses. Elena felt a spark of hope. Individual weaknesses that we might be able to exploit. Exactly. But we'd need to get close enough to study them, and that means taking some serious risks. Elena looked around at her crew, 23 brave souls who had volunteered for what was supposed to be a reconnaissance mission and had instead found themselves at the center of humanity's first interstellar war. They deserved to know the odds they faced. Listen up, everyone. Our situation is about as bad as it gets. We're trapped in an alien-constructed pocket dimension with a damaged FTL drive, facing 50 enemy warships that could probably vaporize us with a single salvo. Our only advantages are our speed, our maneuverability, and the fact that they seem to want us alive. Alive? Parker asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Elena nodded. Think about it. If they wanted us dead, they could have destroyed us during that first encounter. Instead, they tried to convert us, to bring us into their harmony. That suggests they see value in individual humans, possibly as a way to understand our species better. Harrison frowned. You think they want prisoners? I think they want to study us. To understand how human chaos works so they can better counter it. Which means they'll try to capture us intact if possible. Elena saw understanding dawn on her crew's faces. It wasn't much of an advantage, but it was something they could potentially exploit. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to use their curiosity against them. We'll approach one of their ships, let them think they're capturing us, and use the opportunity to plant Singh's virus in their system. If we're lucky, we can disrupt their coordination long enough to escape. And if we're not lucky? Martinez asked. Elena smiled grimly. Then we make them pay a price they'll never forget for every human life they take. The crew responded with determined nods, their fear tempered by the knowledge that their captain had a plan. It wasn't a great plan, the odds of survival were still minimal, but it was better than waiting passively for death. Singh, how long do you need to prepare the virus? Give me 30 minutes and I can create something that should disrupt their network protocols. But Captain, I'll need direct physical access to one of their ships to deploy it. It's not something I can transmit wirelessly. Elena felt her heart sink. A boarding action against an alien vessel was dangerous under the best circumstances. In their current situation, it was essentially suicide. I'll go, she said simply. Captain, no, Harrison protested. We can't risk losing you. I should. "You're needed here to command the ship," Elena cut him off. "I'm the most expendable person on this bridge." "With respect, Captain," Singh interjected, "I'm the only one who understands the virus well enough to deploy it properly. If anyone's going aboard that alien ship, it has to be me." Elena looked at her chief engineer, a brilliant woman who had dedicated her life to pushing the boundaries of human technology. The thought of sending Singh on what was likely a suicide mission made Elena's stomach churn, but she knew the engineer was right.